It's actually working. It's my first live stream. I don't know what I'm doing. Hopefully, this thing is on and we can just chill, talk some football, go over Dolphins free agency, draft. I know people aren't in here quite yet, so I guess people can watch this after the fact, which will be cool. I just want to, check, make sure this is working, check, make sure I'm alive, which it looks like I am. So we're gonna go over some of this stuff. Should be fun. This will be a little more of a chill setting. I don't have to break down film, even though I think in the future I will start pulling up some clips like that. That will be fun. And the audio sounds like it's working on my phone, so I think we're just gonna chill now. If people get in here, want to ask questions, any chatters? Oh, hey, John, what's up? First live stream. I think you're the first person in here. First chatter ever. Yeah, just gonna. Thank you, Jason. I appreciate that. Gonna be doing some more of this stuff. I'm really blind. I should really wear my glasses for this. I can barely read the chat on my monitor, but yeah. If we want to, anyone ask, audio and everything is good. Thank you. I know I've been trying to set this up for the last 5 days, figuring out the audio, video, all that stuff. So it's really cool. Think I'm just looking at a free agent list here, the guys they signed. I think we could go down list by list, just talk a little bit. I do want to start by saying I think this is the most impressed I've been with the front office in a period of time. When you consider their resources. Sometimes I haven't agreed with all the decisions. They'll always go after big names, which I think is fine when you have the cap space. But it felt like they really had a plan. They executed, and now they can go into the draft and the rest of free agency when they get more of the money, and really, really build and have a lot of flexibility to go after anyone in the draft. I think right now, looking at the first 2 rounds, I'm thinking defensive line, your interior defensive line, still a big need. They don't really have a starter right now next to Sealer. Interior offensive line, guard positions, still think that's up for grab. They signed Isaiah Wynn, who could start, but I do think better to have him more as a depth guy, and he has the injury history, so he does have to start. It's fine, but you do still need more bodies there. They have guys there who are serviceable right now, but they don't have any high-end starters at the guard position. I think edge is still up for grabs in those first 2 rounds, and I think just based on the position receivers, they could actually go after some receivers too in the first 2 rounds. I think more of the second round, I'm looking at a receiver, but going definitely in the trenches in that first round, I think is pretty important because they give themselves a lot of flexibility with free agency, and there's still more moves to be made. But yeah, the Isaiah Wynn re-signing, definitely important and helpful. But with the injury history, I mean, he's a really good pass protector. He actually had a really good season pass protecting until the injury, and then his run blocking's okay. And then the other guys, I like Robert Jones as a depth guy. Eichenberg improved as the season went on, but I wouldn't want him starting at all. And yeah, thanks in the chat, everyone. Chop in the first, BB in the second. I'm very happy. I don't know if I like Chop Robinson. He's just a little raw for me. He's very explosive though, so I could see the Dolphins being interested because the Ravens in the past have gone after super athletic edge guys like Owe, and he's fit pretty well into their scheme, and Weaver brings over the Ravens scheme. Could see Chop Robinson as a nice fit. And then, yeah, I like Cooper Beebe. He's an absolute mauler in the run game. Definitely would be a big fan of that. I think now we'll just go over some of the free agency guys. First guy on this list, I'm saying Jordan Poyer. Just when I first saw his signing, I was a little mixed on it because I thought it was going to be a little more expensive. But the 1 year, $2 million, I'm a fan. They got to get some guys back there and starting. And I think you're going to see 3 safety sets with this team. And I think Poyer, even though he's lost a step, is still solid. He brings a lot of communication and leadership to the back end. And he actually looked really good as a dime linebacker this year. When Bills played 3 safety sets, because they had Micah Hyde, Taylor Rapp, and Poyer. So when they went 3 safety sets, they would put Poyer down in the box, and Poyer looked really solid there. So I just think he brings veteranship and leadership with also versatility, which I think is so important to the secondary. Adding Kendall Fuller as well, because I think Ramsey last year, they didn't move him around at all. He's played right cornerback spot the whole time. And I think, Ramsey is one of those special players who can really make an impact at every single position in the defensive backfield. And I feel like they want to use him like a They want to use him like that for sure. He could almost be like the Kyle Hamilton of this defense, like for what he was for the Ravens, but also play more corner, obviously, and cover. What are you guys saying? I want JPJ in the first. I still think that's an option, even though they signed Brewer as a center, and I think Brewer could be a center. I think JPJ could play guard at the NFL and still be just as good. We'll look at some guys that I really like in the draft. I think they should draft Kinchins at 21. Personally, I don't think the Dolphins are going to draft safety first round. I wouldn't be surprised if they went second round and went after a guy like Kinchins or maybe Tyler Nubin. But I don't know if safeties will even go in the first round in this draft class. Could still definitely be there. Cooper DeJean. I like the corners. I just don't know. In knowing Chris Greer, he could take a corner, even if it's not a need. He could take a corner in this draft class as high. He did last year with Cam Smith. People weren't thinking they were going to go corner, and they still did. I think free agency really looking solid. Looks good. Yeah, Poyer, like that signing. Shaq Barrett, another solid 1-year vet signing. They really need edge help. The edge position is weird because Phillips and Chubb are so good, but they're both coming off injuries, so it is tough to really have a plan with. They don't have any starting edges to start the season. They both might be back, which is interesting. But it's why I'm 50-50 on taking an edge in the draft because they already have two absolute studs, but they don't have anyone to start the season. And then who knows down the line, are they going to re-sign Phillips or let Chubb go? I think they should re-sign Phillips. I really like Latu from UCLA. I was watching his film last night. He is like a Jalen Phillips clone. It's so weird. And there's some other guys like Chop Robinson. I think, hearing good progress, that would be... What do you think of trying to pick up Clowney? I think Clowney would be a perfect fit. I'm just guessing cap-wise, Dolphins are... I think once everything goes through, are going to actually still be pretty much have no money and maybe be in a little bit of the negative before the June 1st stuff. So unless he signs somewhere before June 1st, I would say it's probably unlikely. They just don't have the cap space. He'd be a good scheme fit. But yeah, bringing in Shaq Barrett is huge for the Dolphins because even when Chubb and Phillips come back, they're going to be injured, and there's they got to still get built up, rotate out more and more. And Barrett still I was impressed, even though he's on the older side. He still had a lot of juice last season, and he was creating a ton of pressure. So I like bringing him in, and I still don't know if we've seen the actual contract yet. I know it was 1 year worth up to $9 million, which isn't that bad. I just want to know what the base value is before without all the incentives mixed in there. But I do like the Barrett signing. Yes, Latu, Verse, Sweat, Chop, any of them. Yeah, I'm not against a lot of those guys. I think O-line is still the best option to go in the first round, but I'm also not against going against any of the edges or even defensive tackles in the first, Murphy or Noon. I think those are the explosive 3 techs you could look for at 21 as well. Yeah, I wouldn't take Sweat at 21. I like him as a second round option. I think the only defensive tackles I go in the first round are Murphy, who played with Sweat, and Newton out of Illinois. They're both really explosive 3 techs, can create a lot of pressure. Those would be your Christian Wilkins replacements because they didn't sign any Christian Wilkins replacements. They signed a lot of D tackles, but they're all just depth guys currently. Trade back out of the first round, end up with 2 second round picks. Josh, I like Fisk out of Florida State for sure. Botanu is also my number 1 target. I agree. I just saw a list where they had him ranked the 9th overall prospect. I think it's looking less and less likely Fatanu is going to be there, but I do think Fatanu would be a home run pick because he would be an instant starter at left guard. And then when Armstead retires, you can slide him over to be your franchise left tackle or just leave him at left guard. But yeah, for sure, that would be an ideal pick for the Dolphins in the first round. I think when I did my mock draft, it was a week or 2 ago, I picked Fatanu in the first round and then took Malachi Corley in the second, which I think would be a really good start to the draft. But I also think trading back is a very big option this year with the Dolphins, considering the lack of draft picks they have, but they also have a ton of needs. And it's a pretty deep class, too. I really like this class. This draft class is really solid. Miami shouldn't restructure Chubb, get rid of him next season. That's why that's what I was thinking. I think if you do draft an edge, I think that means more the end of you probably letting Chubb go when you can save money, and then you extend Phillips. Because I think Phillips is a guy you definitely got to try to keep Phillips, Waddle, and Holland a lot, and that means like letting guys like Chubb go once their contracts get like super up there. And that's why I'm definitely for like the four positions I'm looking for in the first 2 rounds are definitely O line, D tackle, edge, and I think receiver. Because I think receiver can go like a couple ways. Like it's a obviously they have Waddle and Hill, but they don't really have number 3. And I don't. You still have to extend Waddle too, and then I don't know how much longer like Tyreek's gonna play. You know, he's talked about retiring. He's always in the news. I don't want to talk about that, but that is still a position I think is more of a need than people think. Would love like yeah, I like Xavier Legette out of South Carolina. I think he's another solid second round option that would fit perfectly in what the Dolphins are looking for. We can see yeah, I think the D tackle rotation is definitely a big option on the table. Like if the D tackles they don't like are like if the D tackles they like aren't there at their picks, like it's not good value in the first 2 rounds. I can see them just signing a bunch of D tackles, having them all rotate out a bunch. Because last year Wilkins and Sealer just played a ridiculous amount of snaps. I could see Sealer playing a bunch, but then rotating guys in like they already have Gallimore, Benito Jones, Jonathan Harris, all guys I could see making the team. I think they re-signed Deshaun Hand as well. All guys who are not starter material, but they could rotate in and out a lot. Latu at 21, I think it's a possibility for sure. I think he's a Jalen Phillips clone, really. Like I was watching some he looked because Phillips played at UCLA before he went to Miami. Both wore 15. They're like the exact same size. They move the exact same. I would say Phillips is a little more explosive, while Latu was a little more polished as a pass rusher. Like you can tell he definitely is in the lab working on his pass rush moves because his repertoire is insane. And then let's go to the next free agent. Jonnu Smith, one of my favorite signings they had. The first one they made because he was cut. They've done a really good job with their compensatory stuff too, like because they're gonna have at least 2 third-round compensatories next year, which is a great get from losing Wilkins and Hunt, based on their signings. And I think Jonnu Smith is just like it really like now you don't have to really draft a tight end unless there's like a stud that falls that you love. It wasn't a great class to begin with. There's a few guys I like, but now you get a guy who just perfectly fits the scheme, and now you don't. And he wasn't very expensive. I think one thing I noticed is they didn't spend at a lot of the premium positions in free agency. I think you get those premium positions in the draft, so you don't have to like spend a whole ton of money in free agency. Because some positions were going for crazy amount of money. Yeah, Jonnu Smith, loved the fit. He just adds exactly what they needed with that physicality after the catch, that athleticism, explosiveness at that position. Because they sorely missed us that past year, the past 2 years with McDaniel, honestly. Yeah, I kind of keep forgetting about the Johnny signing because it happened before free agency like actually started. But yeah, that's just like a really solid signing because it wasn't super expensive. It's not like you're getting an elite tight end or anything, but it's just like the perfect scheme fit, exactly what you need with his yak ability. Yeah, and he's still got like what was the contract? It was like 2 years, like 8 million, something like that, or is it 10, or is it up to 10? I can't remember what the exact numbers are. The Jonnu Smith signing kind of reminds me of the David Long signing. Just really solid players, really good at what they do. Like they're all around pretty like decent at stuff, but then like David Long, really good at run defense, and Jonnu Smith, really good with the ball in his hands. Kind of gives me that same vibe. And they both went for around the same price just a year later. Let's see. Jordan Brooks, probably one of their bigger signings. Basically, the Dolphins and Seahawks just swapped linebackers. I think Brooks is just a really solid player and still has a lot of potential too, because he's only 26. He was drafted in the first round. I think he had an injury 2 years ago, so he's coming off a torn ACL this past year, playing off the torn ACL. And I'm really, really, really liked his film. Like, there's some things he's not great at, like certain times versus run, but he's got sideline to sideline range. When he doesn't have to pure spot drop in zone, he can just like carry people down the field, allow him, like, he has insane amount of range and coverage, and that stuff is so important in this new Dolphins scheme. I think he can pick up like what the Ravens linebackers were doing last year. I think he has that type of ability in coverage. Yes, Brooks is over Baker for sure. And I think Brooks is like 8.25 million per year, while Baker got what, like 1 year 7. So not much more. You got younger, you got better value, and the contract we also gave Baker was much less. So I just think they upgraded at positions, multiple positions, and some positions they downgraded. Like obviously they downgraded at defensive tackle, but you signed so many guys. Like love Christian Wilkins, great guy, great player, but they could not afford to pay him that. That was like an insane amount of money. But they got so many good players in replacement. Same with Robert Hunt. Love both those players. They're really, really good. Got to give them their respects, but they went insane. Good stuff. Thank you. I appreciate it. Appreciate you guys. I mean, I don't know how many people are in here. I don't really know how all this works, but yeah. Aaron Brewer, or is it? I think he said it was like Aaron Brewer, Aaron, pretty much. Really good run blocker. Like I know people are a little more mixed on this because his pass protection was not good last year. There's moments he has good, but I think the reason it's such like he's one of the best movers I've ever seen at the center position. Like his run blocking ability to reach block, get to the second level, cut people off is so good. It will help the running game so much. And the reason I feel like it's such a perfect scheme fit for him is the Dolphins do a great job in pass protection, like protecting their interior offensive linemen. They don't get a lot of one-on-one opportunities. They'll slide, use play action, and the ball's coming out so quickly. That's why I think it just ends up, it's like the perfect marriage between the two. And he's the best scheme fit for this run blocking scheme you'll see at the center position. So, Seattle fans trying to convince themselves they are better at linebacker. I mean, that's how it is. That's how pretty much every fan base is. Every fan base is a little bit delusional at times. Same with Dolphins fans. I mean, I've done it as well, but it's all fun. What do you think about Malachi Corley? Yeah, I talked about Corley a little bit earlier. Or I'm already watching delayed. I mean, I just talked about that in my last mock draft, I had Corley in the second round. I think Corley would be, out of the receivers in the draft, I wouldn't say he's like I'm not saying he's the best, but I think he's the best scheme fit for the Dolphins. His run after catch ability, he plays like a running back with the ball in his hands, and I think he's an underrated route runner just due to like what he was asked to run, like his route tree at Western Kentucky. He got to show more at the Senior Bowl. I really like Corley. If you get him at 55, I would love that pick so much. Wouldn't take him in the first, but yeah, love that pick in the second round if he's there available. Who's the highest upside defensive tackle in the draft with a second round grade? With a second round grade, maybe that's tough. I mean, there's a few guys. You said Michael Hall. He's got some good juice to him. I don't know if he goes second round. That's Ohio State guy, right? He could go. Let me look at a list. Actually, I know there's Okoro, Rookie Okoro, the Clemson guy. I think he's a guy you could see the Dolphins being interested as like a replacement in like the second or third if they trade back, maybe in the third. But yeah, they're interesting for sure. I know in the first it's Byron Murphy and Jazer Newton. Jenkins at 55 couldn't complain. Yeah, Chris Jenkins from Michigan. He's a solid all-around player. I don't know if he's like the highest upside guy. He kind of just gets the job done. Definitely wouldn't be mad about it. I would say, I mean, Fisk, I don't know how to say his name, but from Florida State, with how he's tested, I don't know if he's going to go in the second round anymore. He might go early second round. He's probably the highest upside guy. His athleticism, his explosiveness off the ball is insane. What's your assessment of the current RB room? I think it's pretty. I know people wanted to sign Henry. I just didn't think with their cap space, the running back position, they were going to go there and sign. To me, I feel like the running back position is somewhere you should address in the draft, like every year later on, if you have the picks at least. Because running backs always end up falling farther than they should. I think Achane is really good. I think Mostert is still a serviceable, solid back. I still have actually pretty decent hopes that Chris Brooks can work out. I wouldn't give Savon Ahmed, I think is just a camp body at this point. No people are upset about that. I think he's just a camp body. I still think they can add to this room like another guy, but I don't think they should use like high value draft capital in the running back position or like spend a lot of money just due to the cap situation on that position currently, because they can get by with what they have. Even though I do think there's some physicality needed in that room. I know people maybe want Braylon Allen from Wisconsin. I just feel like he's a second round player, and I just don't think they're going to go in that direction. But overall, the running back room's pretty solid. With the resources they have, I wouldn't spend on it this year, at least nothing too crazy. Dylan Johnson, oh yeah, good running back in the late rounds. Those are the types of players you go after. I think this class has not a lot of high-end running back talent, but there's a lot of depth there, and sometimes these players end up going undrafted that shouldn't, or going like 6th, 7th round. So I think they could, look at some of those guys. Xavier Leggett, yeah, I feel pretty similarly about Leggett that I do about Corley. Great scheme fits. I think Leggett has the highest yards per route run versus man coverage in the country last season. He is a very solid player, very explosive. He has that speed that would match the Dolphins offense, but brings a lot more size and physicality. And I still feel like the Dolphins are trying to add, like, they really want a receiver like that has the speed, but can be like what they drafted Ezu Kama to do, with that ability after the catch, with like physicality, break tackles, make some strong plays at the catch point. But they could still look to add to that position because Easy never has quite lived up to that potential yet because of injuries and stuff. But yeah, I think Corley and Leggett are like ideal second round options at the receiver position. Cody Schrader, yeah, like Schrader. What's Lauby, another running back, great receiving options that would be late in the draft at the running back position if that's where they wanted to go. I definitely would be before that. Who have I not talked about free agent yet? Wise Kendall Fuller. I made a video about him. If you haven't seen that, I made a video about mostly everyone actually. I still have a couple more to go. But yeah, Fuller, probably my favorite signing, like film-wise, watching the film. He's amazing. He's an upgrade to Howard, and he's coming in at cheaper than what Howard was getting paid. And he can also play the slot if needed, but I think you still stick him on the outside. His recognition skills, his ability in zone and off-man coverage are really, really good. And I think it just allows you to have like Ramsey and stuff move around more. So yeah, I really love the Fuller signing. His vision is so good, and he just makes plays. Really, really like him. Yeah, it broke my heart when Brooks got hurt. He looked very promising, really hoping he recovers from his injury. Yeah, same. I think Brooks does get another shot, can prove himself in the preseason. I think Brooks is pretty underrated as a runner, like the way he reads stuff. But yeah, in the way he got used when Ingold got hurt, that one game Alec Ingold was hurt and like not playing too much, they put Brooks at like that fullback position, and he actually had a pretty good work blocking and stuff. So that was pretty interesting. What's up, G Reed? Thank you. I appreciate it. But yeah, still just going about Fuller, I think he's absolutely insane. Like his film, like they got the best corner available, and it wasn't too expensive. Like that's a premium position, at least available left. And he has just that great field vision. He reads like quarterbacks' drops and eyes really, really well, and just has really nice transitions to get downhill. And if you didn't know, he started his career more of as a slot guy, was really good, and then transitioned to like the outside later on in his career and got even better, which is quite rare. Like that doesn't happen very often. But yeah, just a guy like Anthony Walker. Made a video on him today that I posted. I'm a fan of him. If you haven't seen that, I think this is an underrated signing for the Dolphins. I think he's a solid third linebacker and did a lot of things well in coverage that I think was surprising to me. He was just his injuries kind of held him back these past 2 seasons. But yeah, he's an instinctive player versus the run. He's just a little undersized, not as explosive as he used to be. And he can get like eaten up by blocks as offensive lineman, but he usually ends up in the right position. And then in coverage, he clearly recognizes stuff and reads QB's eyes pretty well as well. Love to hear your thoughts on Chop Robinson. Yeah, I talked about Chop a little bit. I'm going to really dig. I think I might do a breakdown on Chop pretty soon. I think I'm going to go into the edge class pretty soon, like Chop and Latu. But I think Chop is insanely explosive. He's just a little raw. So those guys can be a little bit scary at times, but I think the Dolphins would definitely be interested. Just thinking about how like Odafe Owe went with the Ravens, and that's kind of where Weaver's coming from. I think he could be interested. And yeah, Chop has some like insane like bend explosiveness ability. I really like a lot of these edge guys, and I think Chop is in the conversation at 21. Expectations for Cam. I think Cam is definitely going to see playing time this year, a lot more than he saw in the past. Like he didn't really play at all last year. I think I think people think the corner room right now is Ramsey, Fuller, and then Kohu in the slot. I kind of think with the versatility they're adding, I think there's going to be games where like Fuller and Ramsey, or like Ramsey ends up playing like the star position. I think like playing more on that inside. So I think the third corner spot is really up for grabs. Like I think Cam Smith and Kohu could easily be fighting for a job as that third corner, and that third corner could play on the inside or the outside, depending on how they want to move Ramsey and Fuller around. Because I think there will be more versatility in the secondary. I think Cam Smith is definitely going to get a shot this time. I still think usually when a guy doesn't work out like his first season as a rookie, usually like I didn't love them coming out of college. I think Cam Smith has really good college film. He just didn't get a chance. Had more to do with Fangio. So I think he'll get more playing time. Kind of feeling Ben Sinnott will be hanging around the 4th or 5th round, but I don't think he'll last long enough for us to snag. If Ben Sinnott is there in the 5th round, I didn't think the Dolphins would be going after tight end, but I would love that because I think Sinnott is like a 2nd round player. And if he ends up falling that far, I'd trade up to get him because he's a stud. And even though tight end isn't like the biggest need to grab with them signing Johnny Smith, I still think it's somewhere they can add to that position, and I would love to take Ben Sinnott later on. What's up, guys? Ryder, what's good, fam? Love the content. Keep it coming. Thank you, Vince. Take CBB3. I do not have my glasses on. I have to squint to see my screen, but I was wearing my glasses and it was like showing the reflection, so I had to take them off. Appreciate you guys. Your voice ain't doing your face favors. I'll take that as a compliment to my face. So, because some people apparently think that I am like 12 years old. Some people, like, I get those comments all the time, but it's pretty funny. It's mostly to do over the mic. I usually don't get it in person. I don't think my voice sounds as high in person. So you run up to the podium if he's running the 5th. Yeah, they don't even have a 5th round pick, but yeah, they could definitely would love that. He's one of my favorite players in this draft. They re-signed Berrios. I've seen people mixed about this. I think they just re-signed Berrios as a return guy, and I think Berrios did a solid job as a returner. Yeah, just last year he didn't fumble it. I think the biggest thing is he didn't fumble a single punt return, which the Dolphins have always struggled with. And he kind of just he didn't have any like big returns, but he always got, I would think, a little more than average. He just got upfield and did his job. Even as a kick returner, when he did return on the kicks, he would usually get a little bit past the 25. So I'm not mad about it. He'll play a little bit of a role as a receiver, as like a 5th. Yeah, nothing too crazy. They didn't spend big money, so I'm not too bad about it. I thought you were like 15 to 16. Like, how does it get? Yeah, I got those comments all the time, and doesn't bother me. Defensive tackles, Benito Jones. I haven't done a film breakdown on or watched his film yet, so I'm not going to talk about him too much, but I know he's like a big nose, one tackle type and played for the Lions last year, so I will get to him soon. Gallimore. Not gonna lie, I thought a good job to see your face. Yeah. Yeah, people think I'm pretty young. You might not believe it, but I am 26 years old. Which is, shocking to some people. Ryder, what's your work with? Are there any ever copyright issues? Oh, yeah. Definitely had. With NFL, I don't get much copyright with the All-22. If you, like last year, like I almost got my channel taken down from doing All-22 on college stuff. Which was scary. I got like 2 copyright strikes for using college All-22 last year. So that's why I've like barely used college All-22 and used more broadcast stuff. I do get like copyright claims using broadcast view stuff, but with the NFL, I rarely get copyright issues for the All-22. Barrios is for the social media likes. The way you end your videos always makes me laugh. Yeah, I just feel like I lose my... I just am talking for so long, I just start... And I get super high, but yeah. That's more so because people think I'm younger. You look older but sound younger. Yep, pretty much. Where do you get your All-22 college film? There's this guy on... you can look him up on Twitter. He has a Patreon. His name's Caddy's Cut Up. And I think I just pay like $1 a month and he gets like a bunch of college All-22 clips out there. He's like the main guy. I think it's more now, but since I was there for a while, I don't know what the actual is. But yeah, that's how I get most of my college All-22. Yep. I knew the comments about me being younger would come in, but uh, they don't offend me. Well, some of them people try to be mean with it, but I don't really care. Any plans to collab with other fan content creators? I mean, yeah, I don't really, I haven't really talked to many of them like ever. I just kind of do my own thing, and none of them have really reached out to me. But I would definitely be down. Where do you get your NFL L22? I mean, right now I just have to use like I used to have a place where I could get the NFL L22 like quick, and I might be able to get it back, but I just used the NFL site where you have to like pay for it, which sucks. But yeah, Nick Needham, Robert Jones, solid re-signing depth guys. I don't think anything too crazy there. Jody Fordson. Let's see. This is one I'm gonna do a film breakdown. I think he might be next on the list. The tight end from the Chiefs didn't get a ton of playing time, and he because the Chiefs have a stacked tight end room, but he's intriguing to me. Like he's like a super high end, like upside tight end. Like he's got speed. Like he moves around there really well. Has some great ability after the catch too. Looks like they're adding tight ends that can get after the catch, but like he honestly can line up on the outside and play like a wide receiver. And he ran like a lot of like slants for touchdowns in 2022. Didn't play 2023 because of the injury, but he's intriguing to me. And I think he's like coming in to fight like Tanner Connor and Julian Hill for a spot. Possibly, keep 4 tight ends. But yeah, he definitely has some upside, and the film breakdown on him should be fun. What about Walker linebacker? Oh yeah, I talked about him for a little bit. Yeah, did the video on him today. I think he's one of my favorite underrated signings. Just solid all around. He had struggled with injuries the past 2 years. That's why he came in so cheap. But you could tell he like led the defense out there for the Browns, making calls pre-snap, post-snap, getting people aligned. He's solid versus the run, solid versus in coverage. He's just a little undersized and not as explosive as he was coming out of college, which can get him into trouble sometimes. But he recognizes run concepts really well, and then he really can get swallowed up by offensive linemen when they get after him, just because of his size. But when he's able to be kept clean, I think he's a solid third linebacker option for sure. Definitely feel good about that. Are you open to sponsors and where to find contact? I mean, yeah. I've never really had people reach out to me about sponsors, but yeah, I'm definitely open to all that stuff. And Steak, you can come on my show anytime. I mean, yeah, sounds like fun. I'm down to do some shows, get more involved with other people. I just haven't really had the setup for it. I just kind of got all this stuff set up, and I just would make film breakdowns. Siren Neal, not going to make a video on him. I mean, I did a little highlight thing, like special teams all 22 I posted, because he's just a special teams guy, and I'm not going to break down film on special teams, because feel like I'm not going to add any value to that, but he's a really good gunner, and it definitely, when he got like one-on-ones as a gunner, he would absolutely smoke the guy, and I think that's huge. Dolphins struggled with special teams last season, so I'm not going to complain about getting a top-tier special teams player at all. Those guys can be really fun to watch and can make an impact on certain things. Where did you learn to watch films? Did you just teach yourself? So I mean, I played football growing up. Always had like a natural feel for the game. It's definitely something I felt pretty comfortable with, even just like watching film without being taught. I felt like I was pretty good at it. But then I also like to really learn like a lot of things. I went to the scouting academy where they can like teach you how to scout. And yeah, I've just did a lot of studying there. YouTube, looked up a lot of information, read a lot of different articles, and there's still a lot more to learn. But yeah, I think I have a pretty good like scouting perspective. There's people that like coaches, they look at the game a little bit differently, and I feel like that's kind of where I'm learning to be a little bit more. But yeah, are you a Dolphins fan? Yes, that's why most of my film are just Dolphins people. I would make more videos on just like all around players, but I'm a Dolphins fan, and most of the people that watch the videos are Dolphins fans, so I just make Dolphins videos and then draft, because I really, really love the draft. But yeah. Let's see. Is that all the free agents? I think so. Pretty much. Did I miss anyone? Just let me know if I missed really anyone. They signed Jonathan Harris from the Broncos. I haven't watched his film yet. I'll make a film breakdown on him soon, but yeah. Maybe we can start talk more about the draft. I'm gonna just like scroll through some players that I think the Dolphins could potentially take, at least in the early rounds, and maybe other streams will get really deep into the draft. Also talking about sleepers, guys will like maybe just go like do like a position per stream, just focus on one position, stuff like that. Where are you from? Right now I'm in Tennessee, like in kind of in like the Knoxville area. But yeah, live in Tennessee, but I grew up in Southern California. I'm a Dolphins fan. Basically, I'm I know I grew up in Southern California. I lived there for 24 years, and then I moved to Tennessee. But basically, I would say I became a Dolphins fan because I didn't really have an NFL team when I was a kid, and then I love USC, and Reggie Bush was on the Dolphins when I was looking like to be more of an NFL fan, and I just fell in love with the Dolphins uh, when I was pretty young. So Reggie Bush then went to the Dolphins, became a huge, and then I've been obsessed ever since, like following them in the draft, pretty much since like right before Ryan Tannehill showed up. So, any plans on our draft show? Yeah, this is just sort of like the first test. I mean, this is going. How long am I doing this? Like 35 minutes, 36 minutes, pretty good. But yeah, definitely going to be doing more draft stuff over the next couple months or until the draft happens. Might even do like a live draft show, like as it's going on. I was gonna say you kind of have a little twang, but definitely don't sound Southern. I mean, I'm from California and then live in Tennessee now, but I'm not. I don't have the Southern accent. But yeah, let's look. I'm looking at like a Fox Sports rankings list right now, and they have Troy Fatanu at 9, and I feel like that's the first guy I've seen on this list now. I think the Dolphins have a chance of drafting, but probably not going to be there. I talked about a little of him. His like balance and body control and ability to recover is so special, and I would love to take him, but I think the odds of him being there are getting less and less likely. Still a possibility, but not feeling it quite yet. Yeah, I see people talking about JPJ, Patanu, Barton. Yep, Graham Barton. Graham Barton is probably a few videos away, but coming soon. With my film breakdowns. Big fan of his. He plays all across the offensive line. As a people mover in the run game and just really consistent with his technique. I just feel like he's going to be probably a guard at the next level, but I feel like he could move around and do a lot of jobs, but probably be his best at guard. Why is Ulu following him? I actually don't know why the Penn State guy's following him mock drafts. What do they have him on this list? I haven't spent too much time watching like the super top guys because I just felt like they weren't even in the Dolphins range. But yeah, he's falling down these lists. I don't even see his name. They have Brian Thomas Jr. at 10, which if the Dolphins did go first round receiver, which I'm not saying it's likely, but I don't think it's impossible. I do think he would be a possibility. Yeah, the second round pick could be a lot of different places. I feel like first round, I think it's either O-line, D-line, edge, or receiver. Second round, all 4 of those. Plus, I think they could go like even like safety, maybe tight end, probably not, but I just feel like you're going best player. I'm a best player available person, so I'm not against it. Oh yeah, the Yale tackle. Don't know how to pronounce his name, so I'm not going to try. Lots of upside there. I think he is an intriguing second round guy, and I think that seems like a Chris Greer guy for sure. I will probably do a video on him soon. I haven't spent too much time on him. I've only seen like 1 game, but yeah, he definitely has like high upside athleticism, and I need to see more before I give like my full on feelings on him. Hey, my first, what are these called? Super chats? I appreciate Finn's take. Congrats on your first live and keep grinding. Really, really appreciate that. Is Jatavian off the board with Jonnu? I don't think so. I still feel like, because I would say it becomes less likely, but it's not impossible. I think if he's there at 55, they're considering it. He's definitely, if he's like, you got to think about their board, because I think Dolphins are kind of a best player available type of team. And if he is like far and away their best player available, and there's like the other like positions of needs aren't quite there to that level, they'll either trade back or take a player like Sanders if they really rate him that highly. Let's see. Newton from Illinois, really, really explosive, like 3-tech type of player. I think he is an option for the Dolphins at 21. Just they don't have a starting defensive tackle. Talked about him a little bit earlier, and I think he can kind of replace what they were missing in Wilkins, but he is a disruptor in the backfield. That guy gets back there, very powerful at the point of attack, low center of gravity, similar to Byron Murphy, the Texas guy. What are some of my favorite clinics are? Oh, trying to think. I don't remember the names off the top of my head. Maybe like some of the Sarkeesian ones. I'd have to look it up to tell you for sure. But yeah, there's definitely some good like football clinics to look up out there if you're looking to learn about the game. I want wide receiver 3 and run or D line if they go O line in the first. I would definitely be down for that. I'd say if they went like, let's say they went Fatanu, which is a dream in round 1, then yeah, going like a player like Corley in round 2 or Chris Jenkins round 2 to match that. I think that's a pretty solid start to a draft. Then yeah, the Oregon State tackle, not against taking Fuanga. He's just an absolute stud. Probably could slide to the inside early years and then bounce outside whenever Armstead retires. But he was more of a right tackle at Oregon State. A lot of these guys were right tackles like Latham from Alabama. Latu at edge, they have him ranked 16. I think he's in play for the Dolphins. I feel like they've met with him a lot of times, and he feels like a Jalen Phillips clone, and I wouldn't mind having 2 Jalen Phillips, to be honest. I hope they can trade down and get another pick. Yeah, trading down. I'm a huge trade down guy. If you can trade down all day. I love that stuff. Corley is a draft crush of mine. Yeah, McDaniel would love him. Anyone you would trade up for if they slip? Yeah, I've never been too big of a trade up person because I just feel like you can get similar level talent at like your spots if you instead of trading up like 10 spots. But like to me, I would say before they signed Jonnu Smith, I would have said Brock Bowers. And like say Brock Bowers went to like 15, I would consider trading up for Brock Bowers. Everything else, I don't know if like you need to, because like maybe Fatanu, if you were like really want him, he was in that 15 range. So Bowers, Fatanu, you don't think they're going to fall to you. I feel like those guys are special and like to me top 10 players in this class. So those are probably the guys I would consider. And then everyone else, like the rest of the O line and the corners, I feel like you can get similar level players from 21 without having to trade up. Not who I expected to have this voice. I know. I've gotten that multiple times. That's funny. Expected a 17-year-old. I'm glad I'm getting 17 instead of 12 because I used to get 12. So I'll take 17. Yeah. Jared Verse, another edge guy I think they're considering. Yeah, I think Verse, Latu, Chop, all in the consideration at 21 for sure. Jackson Powers Johnson. I know the Dolphins got their center in Brewer, but I think Brewer can also play guard if needed. But I do think Powers Johnson can easily play guard. And that guy is a stud. And I'm not going to be mad if they still take him to play guard and then move him to center down the line or whatever they want to do. Either way, it doesn't matter. He's an absolute stud. Let's effing go, Ryder. Winner by the Dolphins. You're my first hire. I appreciate that. Thank you. I think these are called super chats. Really appreciate that, you guys. You guys are awesome. Honestly, this is going pretty good. Better than I expected. So maybe if you trade to snag before the Seahawks pick. Yeah, wait, what? Yeah, that's definitely not against trading up for Fatanu. I just don't. The only problem I have with trading up is they don't really have the picks this year to get like up very far. And I don't really want to trade future picks. I guess they could trade like the future comp picks or like picks in the 3rd round if they want to do that. That's why I'm more like thinking stay where you are or maybe even trade back to get more picks this year. Maybe get a 3rd rounder. Only move back a few spots. Like say the guys like you really want like Fatanu aren't there at 21. Trade back a few spots. Still get one of those guys that is still pretty comparable as a player. And then you get an extra pick. How do you feel about Benson and Coleman from FSU? I feel like Benson is one of the better all-around running backs in this draft class because there's no real like standouts, but I would say he's a top 3 running back. Does everything pretty well from burst, vision, contact balance. Wouldn't say I like love him. And then Keon Coleman, I wouldn't take him in the 1st round personally. I think he's still a good player, but I'm more of when I watch receivers, I really like separators. And I think Coleman has this skill set because when you have like a big body like that, he has great ball skills and he comes down with a lot of plays. And I still feel like he'll be successful at the NFL level. But to me, when you have that combined with separation, which certain receivers do, those are the guys I really like. But yeah, I think Coleman, you take that guy like early 2nd round is in this draft class. That's how I kind of see him as a player. But this, and you also have to consider this wide receiver class is really good. So There's so many good wide receivers. I hope we use Ezukama this year. I think they will. Depends on if they take receiver in this draft class, but you can tell they were trying to get him involved last year. In the first 2 games, they gave him a bunch of different gadget type touches, and then he had that unfortunate neck injury. So I think he'll still be a part of the plan for sure. I don't think they've given up on him. Do you have the ability to stream your screen? Could be fun to see some of the mock sims somewhere. Yeah, we could do that actually. Let's do a mock sim. I have to pull it up. Let's just go to PFN. PFN mock draft. You can do a mock. No trades. Oh god. It's so white. It might burn your guys' eyes. We'll just do the first 2 rounds. Oh god. It's already going through. Hold on. Who will be see-through, Corey, Cam Smith, or will they dropped another one? God, my face is brightened up. I don't know if you guys want to get blinded by this. The screen's so wide. I might have to do this differently. Do you guys want to do a mock draft? Just let me know, and then I'll switch the screen. Just know you might be blinded when this happens. Make sure you close your rejected tabs. I only have a couple tabs open. None of them like that, okay? You're not going to catch me. You never will. Travis was one of my favorite kids before he got hurt. What do you think about him? Oh, the Florida State quarterback? I haven't spent too much time watching the quarterbacks for this draft class because usually I get around to the quarterbacks pretty late anyways, unless I think it's like a huge need for the Dolphins. So I'll probably get to that later, but from what I saw live, I thought he had some like decent ability and could be like a solid late round pick. Coleman, like Pickens from Steelers. It's not a bad comp. I think they're slightly different, but yeah, similar play styles for sure. Love Romo Dunze. I mean, this class is so good, bro. Romo Dunze is a top 10 player. Neighbors is top 10. Harrison Jr. top 10. Definitely won't be there for the Dolphins, but just looking overall at draft picks, those guys are absolute sets. I don't know how delayed I am. I don't really. This being my first stream, I don't know the settings. Let's see. Travis is so raw. Yeah, he seemed like the athlete type. I just haven't spent too much time on him. Let's see. What else? Dallas Turner, Alabama Edge. I don't think he'll be there at 21, so I'm not going to talk about him. I think he'll be gone. Yeah, the wide receiver class is so good. I love a lot of these players. Like Lad McConkey. That guy is fun to watch. That is a polished receiver. Really, really all around good. And I would not be mad if the Dolphins somehow ended up with him. Probably not at 21, but I think he goes late first round. Maybe they trade it back, but yeah. You think any of those good patches should be available? Yeah, I think there's a chance. I mean, I think at least one of them will. Like, if you look at Turner versus Chop Latu, if I had to guess, most of them will be gone by 21, but I do think you could see some of them fall. Maybe 2. Latu's probably my favorite. Probably all around. I think he's the most pro ready, and he's still athletic. I think he does have the medical history, which is a little concerning, but yeah. Persall overlap. I like Ricky Persall too. He is I wouldn't be mad if they took him in the second round. I feel like Lad's a little more polished as a receiver, but Persall's like a freak athlete, man. That guy, and he's also run some pretty good routes. I also like Roman Wilson, another smaller type guy that's kind of gives me Tyler Lockett type vibes. No. I think I turned the ads on low frequency, so hopefully, well, I guess you can't hear me if you have an ad, but hopefully they're like skippable and pretty quick. Most realistic pick at 55. I think let's see, I'll give you some names. I'll say Malachi Corley as a receiver, as I've mentioned. I think at D tackle, it could be the Clemson guy, Rookie, or I don't know how to say his last name, so I'm going to try, but Rook. And then maybe Chris Jenkins from Michigan, but I think those guys are pretty likely, depending on how they go in the first round. And then maybe like O-lineman, who would be there at 55 for O-line? Maybe a Christian Haynes, the UConn kid, or Christian Mahogany, also from Boston College. Those guys, I think, probably the most likely at 55, I'd guess, right now. Or you said most realistic D-line pick at 55, okay. I mentioned some D line, so I guess I hit it all. Versal more secure hands, notch down on the route running, and doesn't have the injury concerns. Yes, I would agree with that. But I also think they're both really good. All of them are really solid receivers. Does Peyton Wilson fit Weaver's defense? Yeah. I mean, I think Peyton Wilson's a stud. He has an injury history too. I think a lot of the linebackers could be solid. I don't know if it's somewhere the Dolphins will go anymore, though. I think it was a need pre-free agency, but they did sign Jordan Brooks to be a starter and have Walker to be like a solid depth piece. So I don't think it's as concerning anymore. But yeah, Latu reminds me of Phillips. Yep, said that earlier in the stream. Tweeted that yesterday. They are clones, man. It's weird. They are so much alike. I've never seen anything like. I literally thought I was watching Jalen Phillips college film again. Just like the way they stand, the way they move, wearing the exact same number at UCLA. Crazy stuff. I do. Yeah, I agree. I think Cooper. Just thinking of like what Weaver did with and like what Baltimore did, I would say Cooper was probably be the best fit for that style of defense. But I still need to see the Dolphins defense in action to be for sure, because I do think Weaver's probably going to take from multiple different types of schemes that he's worked with over his career. So I can't be 100% yet until I've seen it in action. How much weight do you give PFF grades when scouting? Pretty much nothing. I like to make my own decision because I put in a lot of work to watch the film, so I don't really take the other grades. I usually maybe look at it and be like, oh, that's what people think. Okay, that's cool. But when it comes to for me, PFS has Jordan Brooks coverage rated really badly. At least his was it man or zone? But they had one of his coverages rated really badly, and then I watched his film and I thought his coverage was quite good. So sometimes their grading systems can be flawed, so I don't put too much stock in it. I mean, sometimes they're right, sometimes they're wrong. It is what it is, but I just usually go for what I think. Where's the fridge at? Yeah, just PFF grades low key doo doo. I mean, yeah, it's just not for me. I'm not a PFF guy. A little weird at times. You should be a coach for all the film breakdowns. 100. You remind me of my high school days. A coach giving his philosophy. Yeah, I want to do more of a scouting thing, but yeah, definitely want to be involved in football. I've done some stuff. I worked in, or I did an internship in UCLA's recruiting department a couple years ago, and then done some other stuff I do. With, if you guys have heard of Sports Info Solutions, I do some work with them. But yeah, I like doing scouting for sure. But yeah, let's keep scrolling down here, looking at some other people in the draft. I think, yeah, we talked about Graham Barton earlier. Byron Murphy, I think, is a ideal 3-tech and would fit into exactly, if he was there at 21, I think he is a pretty big possibility of being the pick, just looking at what the Dolphins D-line room looks like right now. Pretty much it's Zach Sealer and then a bunch of depth players, but I could also see them going O-line in that direction. But yeah, players like Chop. I don't think they go corner, but who knows? Chris Greer loves a good corner. It's definitely something to consider. I hope they don't take Patrick Paul from Houston at 21. I know the Dolphins, I think they met with him, but I'm not a big fan of him as a player, at least at 21. Not a first round. Warning, Cap for Life is under the chat. Hide the Cougars. Manalo, is this guy cool? I mean, am I? Probably not. Tyler Nubin at pick 55. I would be down. I think Tyler Nubin is a very solid player. Very instinctive ball skills on the back end. And I think the Dolphins are going to play some 3 safety sets under Anthony Weaver. And I would definitely be down for Nubin at 55. I just don't know if safety is the biggest priority right now. But if he was best player available, I would be down. Patrick Paul at 55, maybe. Yeah, maybe. Even though I still think you're probably going to get a better player than him at 55. But I would be okay with it at 55, not 21. Yeah. I also think of Marius Mims, Georgia tackle. I don't think he's going to be there at 21, but if he was, that guy's an absolute stud. You want to take a high upside player, that's him. He just doesn't, and might think he's a little more raw, but he just doesn't have a ton of playing experience. But for a guy that has played that amount of games he has, he's a little more polished than you would think, and he's an absolute freak, like a physical freak. This gentleman's channel is criminally undersubscribed. Thank you. That's what I've been saying. No, I mean, I've only been really doing this since like last year for the first time, so I think it's doing okay. But yeah, best breakdown that I appreciate you guys. Mims OT2. I might agree. He's up there. I think wouldn't be surprised if he goes top 10 easily. Rather take Karen at 55. He's there. Yeah, I agree. I like the energy cap for life. I love it. Have you ever checked out Christian Frank? I don't think so. This is a perfect draft for us to get a good tackle at 21. Yep. I hope Troy Fatanu is there, man. I really do, because then he could play guard his first year and then slide into tackle later on. I really would love that. I get a Becton vibe. Personally, I wasn't a big Mekhi Becton fan, but I do like Mims a little bit more than Becton. Just because he's big. But yeah, we can, damn, they have the Penn State tackle at 24 on this list. That is pretty low. Didn't he have like really, but he's like a freak of nature too. If he fell to 21, that'd be pretty good. Who would you want to draft first? I would say my top option right now is Fatanu in the first round. Like semi-realistic. Because I think the other guys wouldn't be there, but yeah. Like at least out of the top ones. O-line from Washington? Yes. Troy Fatanu. Left tackle. The right tackle from Washington's pretty good too. Roger Rosengarten. That guy has like insane, like if you've seen my ability on, my video on him, that guy has some insane ability in pass protection. His recovery ability is impressive. That's a guy maybe at 55 I would consider as well for offensive linemen. Because I think the offensive linemen, this is why I kind of want to go O-line in the first, because I think the fall off into the second, at least at tackle, is pretty big. So if you want to take tackle, I would take tackle in the first. And then, but if you want to go interior O-line, I still think you can get solid guys in the second after, like if you miss out on Fatanu, like Christian Haynes, Mahogany, guys like that, for sure. Hard said Fatanu when it would work for me. I mean, yeah, it would be pretty solid, better than last year. Do we go edge or left tackle in the first? Depends on it's weird because the draft has a lot of right tackles, I feel like, that are around the Dolphins range, but I guess they could transition to left tackle. If I had to guess right now, I'm going to say edge, but they're both pretty close because I don't think, this is probably Armstead's last year. So. But I would rather go offensive line in the first and then D-line / edge in the second, maybe even receiver. Isn't there a good Georgia O-line too? Yeah, interior O-line? Oh, the center? I think he's more of like a mid-round guy. Cedric Van Pran. Yeah. He's a pretty smart player. I wouldn't be mad if they took him like in the middle rounds, but I don't think he's like the top guy. Let's see. You guys maybe I think the next time I do a stream we'll do a mock draft live. That should be fun. I don't want to risk it right now because I'm not prepared for it. And I feel like it looks super bright. I'm getting blinded being on this screen. And it might blind you guys if I switch there. I don't want to flashbang you guys, But yeah. Let's see. Any questions down there? Any like favorite D tackle in the draft, Murphy or Noon? I think I prefer, maybe this is a hot take, but I think I prefer Noon. I think he's got a little like more juice and explosive disruptive ability. And he's super heavy-handed. I feel like Murphy's really good too, but those are the two defensive tackles I would take in the first. I wouldn't go anywhere else. Thoughts on Frazier? Oh, West Virginia? Yeah. I think second round, 55 center. Wouldn't be mad, but the Dolphins do have a center now. I guess I'm thinking pre-free agency because I was thinking a lot of centers. But yeah, he's really consistent, really technically sound. Can move some people too. But yeah, I definitely think he's one of the top centers in this draft behind like Jackson Powers Johnson. Definitely consistent. Oh, we hit the draft. I mean, yeah. Cam Kinchens. Second round, maybe. I think, the safeties, I wouldn't take safeties in the first, but I'm not against taking some second round safeties if that possibly happens. Because right now, I do think the Dolphins are going to run 3 safety sets. I know they have Holland and Poyer, but they don't really have a third guy that you could like totally go with. But yeah, I'm definitely would be down to hit some 3 safeties, like a safety in the second, but not. There's no safety worth in the first, in my opinion. I'm trying to think of even other guys like at the safety position. Man, this class is so good. This corner class is really good. I guess Cooper DeJean if they wanted to move him to safety, but that would require a first round pick, and I don't think they're going to go there. James Williams from the U's. Yeah, late round pick. He's like a safety linebacker transition type. I think he could be an intriguing guy to take a flyer on late in the round because he's more of like a box dime linebacker type. I haven't seen any news on Lamb. No, I wish I would definitely be down. Oh, okay. I thought you were talking to me. Sorry, I was reading a comment. He's talking to someone else. Okay, yeah. Win. Like bringing back Isaiah Wynn. He can, depending on how the draft goes and the rest of free agency signings, he could end up starting for the Dolphins next year, which I wouldn't be mad about. He was quite good in his spot last year. It's just a problem with him is injuries. He's a really good pass protector. At least last year, I think in the Dolphins, it makes him look good. He's a good mover. He's got more athleticism you expect at his size. It's just I would prefer to have like Wynn, Robert Jones, and Eichenberg be depth guys because I think as depth, they're not bad. But when you have to start starting them and playing them like full-time crazy amounts of snaps, you're not looking as good out there. I'm sad they let Elliott walk that, yeah. Yeah. The free agent safety class is kind of weird, but yeah. I would have been down to bring Elliott back. Just I think they maybe wanted to go cheaper, and that's the direction they went. Not sure I would expect much from him. Who are you guys talking about? Oh, Zeke Vandenberg, the undrafted guy from last year. Yeah, he's still in the roster. I wonder how that's going to play out. I don't really have a strong feeling either way. Usually those guys don't even end up getting their chance, but who knows? Maybe. Literally anything to get Liam Eichenberg no closer than sniffing sideline paint. Yeah, I would prefer Eichenberg not to start. Though I will give credit where credit is due. He was better towards the end of the season. He was probably his best at right guard. When he had to fill in for Hunt, that was probably his best game when he played right guard. He's really struggled at center a lot. He had like one game where I thought he was solid. But yeah, don't want him starting full time. I have not seen that guy too, so I'll definitely check him out. Brendan Jackson, Washington State. I've seen the other, or that's an edge. Okay, I've seen the Washington State safety, Jaden Hicks. He's interesting too. That could be another option as like a third safety set. Have we talked about how underrated Greer is yet? So yeah, maybe we'll talk about Chris Greer because people have like pretty strong opinions on Chris Greer that it seems like people either love him or hate him. To me, it's like, I think Chris Greer's pretty good at his job. This was probably the best I've seen him do in free agency, personally. I think this is like the most impressed I've been with the front office with how they've manipulated the cap, got guys for pretty good like price and stuff. And just considering like their resources, I was really impressed with what they did in free agency. There's been certain draft picks I've really liked from Greer, and there's been certain draft picks I didn't love. But overall, I feel like he's done a pretty good job. I feel like some people give him credit for stuff maybe he wasn't a part of it, and some people don't give him credit for anything. But yeah, definitely like overall what Chris Greer's done. But I feel like people that get like super strong opinionated about everything. It's hard sometimes to also know when you're not in the room too. I would still like to draft. Yeah, I think Powers Johnson's still in play. He can play guard very easily, and he brings a nastiness to this team. I think he's a good scheme fit. Definitely don't think he's out of play at 21 just quite yet. I think Cam Smith plays this year. I think he plays a lot more, and I think people are going to recognize like, oh, he's not a draft bust. People are a little overreactionary, but if he can learn the playbook, which, sometimes these players maybe they don't know, but like just looking strictly at his film, he is a good player, and I expect him to contribute next year. So I'm definitely probably higher on Cam Smith than the average person, and I think he gets his chance next year, whether he's CB3 or 4. and with injuries, he's definitely going to play compared to what it was under Fangio, who wouldn't even give him a chance. Yeah. I think we're kind of chilling. Talked about all the free agents. Talked about the draft. Armstead wins Bauer, Brewer, Jackson. I like typing out the lines, yeah. Or you could switch Powers and Brewer. I do think I'd. Oh my god, I keep blinding myself. I would probably switch Brewer to center if they did draft Powers Johnson, just because I think they value more like movement skills on the inside and more guys like at guard that can play with a little more nastiness to his game. And I think that's kind of how I look at it. I think Brewer is a really good mover because when you're in the center, you got to get like super, got to reach block left to right, left like runs to the left, run to the right on outside zone. When you're a guard, you can get away more just like with moving people instead, and you don't have to reach as far at guys in certain techniques. So I think that's why I would see Powers Johnson fitting in pretty nicely as like a right guard, left guard, whichever. I like to get Ray Davis in the late round. Ooh, I'm a Ray Davis fan. Like his size, really good vision. One of my favorite vision backs in this draft. I did a video on him a little while ago. Definitely a Ray Davis fan as a running back in the late rounds if they wanted to go running back. I love these signings. Yep, same with me. These signings, they didn't like overspend, go big with anything. Like Jordan Brooks, Kendall Fuller, really big fan of those players. I like Brewer as a scheme fit. Jordan Poyer, super cheap. Get the veteran presence with like him and Shaq Barrett. Really like those. Hello, what's up, guys? People joining in. Brewer makes his money in day 2 today. I thought he was hated. I think he's top 12, so that's where underrated comes in. I can see that for sure. I don't really know how people rank the GMs though around the league, so I'd have to really look into it to see how I'd rank Chris Greer. It's kind of tough though, to think of that on the spot. Let me scroll up here. Ramsey, Cam, and Fuller in the slot is really my hope. I think we're going to see a lot of Ramsey moving around this year, playing as like the slot, playing as a star. Kind of think of like how they used Hamilton. I think you can see like how the Ravens use Kyle Hamilton. You could see Ramsey and Holland doing that type of stuff. I really want to see Ramsey moved around a ton this year. Get him, outside, matched up on their best receiver. The next game, you have him lined up in the slot, blitzing off the edge. Like, I don't think people realize the versatility that Ramsey can play with. And I really want to see that come to fruition. Are you going to make a video on Anthony Walker? You're in luck, Aaron. I posted a video on Anthony Walker like at 12 today, so 2 hours ago. If you want to see that, the Anthony Walker video is up. And probably tomorrow I'm going to get to Fortson, however you say his name. I haven't looked it up yet, so. The draft has been very questionable. Okay. I think it's been a good stream, good first stream, good test stream. Unless, anyone else has any topics they want me to talk about, I think I might end up ending this pretty soon. Definitely going to do more of these. This has been pretty fun. Went better than expected, so appreciate all you coming in. It will be fun to do this in the future. I'll probably at least try to do this once a week before the draft, and maybe even do the draft live, like live stream my whole draft reactions and everything. That should be pretty fun. I love the NFL draft. I've been doing the draft for so long, like watching prospects, taking down notes, writing scouting reports. So, and and I think in the next one we'll do a mock draft live. I'll figure out how to set all that up. I can change the scenes to get to it this time, but I just feel like I'm getting flashbanged, and I don't want to, make the stream look bad. But yeah, appreciate you guys. See you guys next time. Peace. And hopefully you will not be able to, your stream will stop.